Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. As always, it's so awesome to see you. Thanks so much for stopping by. So there's a reason for today's video topic, which has to do with the importance of good customer service in music retail. Although it really doesn't have to stop there, it could cover other retailers as well. 2 weeks ago, I came into my studio and I booted up my system hoping to record on my latest song, which is almost done. So this kills me. But I ran into an error message where my computer was no longer recognizing my audio interface. Now I have an awesome Neve 8-channel interface, and I could not figure out for the life of me why it wouldn't see it. I didn't have the problem the day before. I hadn't changed any of the settings, had no clue. I did everything I could to try to troubleshoot the issue, and I couldn't figure it out. I ended up calling the retailer who I purchased it from, Sweetwater, and a technician with them spent some time with me, and we troubleshot everything, and we still couldn't figure it out. So the next step was to work directly with Neve. They are located in England. They're a big company. I had to put in a work order. I had to wait for email correspondence. Now, I get that it would be crazy expensive for support calls to go back and forth from England to the United States, but I really could only deal with them by way of email. It took a week for us to, shoot emails back and forth, me sending pictures and this, that, and the other, for them to finally say, okay, we're stumped, ship it back to us for repair. Now, what I'm about to share isn't a criticism. It's a business, and I get that. But they let me know that the unit was out of warranty, which meant that I would be shipping it back at my expense. And I'm thinking to myself, shipping to England for a fairly large unit, insured, was going to be a lot. Then also, they let me know that once it arrived, it was going to cost $250 for them just to look at the unit. And then it would be $150 per hour for anything beyond that. And that didn't include parts or VAT tax and shipping it back and yada yada. And the next thing I know, I'm adding all this up and I'm thinking, dang man, I am going to be out at a minimum of $400 or more to get this thing repaired. This is where customer service makes the difference. Sweetwater extends their warranty for a total of 2 years when you purchase something. And thankfully, I'm not quite there yet. I'm close, but I'm not quite there, which means it's still covered under their warranty. They told me that they would take care of the shipping to England. I just needed to ship the unit to them. They would then ship it to England, make all the arrangements, act as the middle person, and would take care of the repair cost. Now, this isn't an infomercial for Sweetwater, but one of the reasons that I do so much business with them, especially in purchasing electronics, is because of their awesome customer service if something should go wrong. But I have experienced some great customer service recently from other retailers as well, or companies, which would be like Vintage King or Grace Design, Drum Center of Portsmouth, or Dallas Percussion. The underlying common thread with all of those places that I just mentioned is that I have a personal contact with each of them. And at a couple of those companies, some of those reps have become friends of mine over the years. So compare this to walking into a brick and mortar store or placing an ad through Amazon or from an anonymous, unknown music store in order to purchase something where you don't really know the sales staff. You know, sometimes that works out just fine and they can be great transactions, but other times, maybe not. So case in point, I fairly recently went and purchased a guitar pedal at a brick and mortar store. One of those that is arguably the most popular of all music stores in our country. I've had some great experiences there. And then other times, no. And this was one of them. You know, I looked, it showed that they had the item that I wanted in stock. So I went to the location. Well, the salesman pulled it up on the computer. He wasn't seeing it at first, and then it took a little bit, and then he found it on the computer. He went into the back. It took a while. He did bring it out. Kudos to him for following through with it and for looking it for me. I definitely appreciated that. But one of the things that he mentioned was that there was an R next to the unit's description, and he said something about return. And so I asked him, I said, oh, is this a return? Is it an open box unit? And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if it is, then we're going to open it, we're going to check it out, and maybe I can save some bucks on this. They'll give me a deal on it. But he told me, no, it's a new unit. So I trusted him. And I ended up, you know, bringing it home, and I opened it up, and sure enough, you know, it didn't have any of the plastic wrap on the inside, any of that stuff. There were fingerprints all over the unit. Yes, it absolutely was a returned item. Now, whether this guy was intentionally lying or not, you know, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this. But the fact remains, you know, even with me questioning it, a good customer service rep would have opened it right then and there to take a look. And there are definitely some more atrocious stories that I could share with purchasing gear over 40 years and just some other, you know, slight minor bad experiences. A couple of those have actually come from Sweetwater, which is just a reminder that no company is perfect, but I would definitely like to keep things positive here. The whole purpose of this video is to simply share some thoughts on what makes good customer service, and most of this is all common sense, I realize. Maybe there will be some retailers who are watching this who can pat themselves on the back and say, yes, yes, we do that. And to which I would say, hooray, good for you. That's awesome. Now, as a studio owner and a multi-instrumentalist, I spend a fair amount of money on gear. And if I know that a company is going to have good customer service, then I actually don't mind paying a little bit more. And by that, I mean not going with the lowball offer in order to feel like I am going to be taken care of if problems happen down the road. And when somebody does buy a fair amount of gear, things will go south on certain items. You know, my Neve interface is a great example. It malfunctions somehow. And if it wasn't for great customer service, then I would end up paying for a repair that was going to be $400 or $500 or even more. So what makes for a great purchasing experience in my mind? Well, one of the things that I tend to look for in a company in my shopping experience, first and foremost, is that I can get to know a sales rep at the place. That I can build a relationship, a trusting relationship with them, where I can feel that, you know, they are going to level with me and be honest about gear, that they're going to have my best interests in mind, and that they are not going to be pushing certain equipment just because they get a bigger commission. I shop at places where I feel my business is valued, where I'm not treated like a number or looked at like a dollar sign. I also tend to gravitate toward those retailers where extended warranties are simply a part of the package price, especially for electronics. Now, I'm not talking about accessories like cymbals and drum heads or guitar strings, that sort of stuff. I'm talking about like the bigger ticket items that maybe are more electronically based. It stinks to have to pay for some peace of mind to buy an extended warranty for 1, for 2, for 3 years when there are retailers out there who currently provide that for you. And lastly, ongoing product support makes all the difference in the world. My former audio interface is by a company called Grace Design, and it is an M108. And I actually, once I got my Neve unit, I actually have been using that as a slave to give me a total of 16 digital tracks. Well, now that my Neve is going to be gone for at least 1, if not 2 months, possibly more, then I am actually very grateful that I have the M108 to use as a backup interface. It's a fantastic unit. I have had this thing for around 10 years. So yeah, I'm grateful that I can keep recording even though it's on 8 tracks. And you know, I went to reinstall it as my main interface yesterday, and I ran into a glitch. I couldn't figure it out. So I contacted the company, and within minutes, I kid you not, I heard back from the support tech, and he was able to figure it out. And it didn't take me a week, you know, to try to ascertain what was going on. He also was pleased to hear that I was still using the unit and enjoying it. That's some great customer service. One other thing that I would like to stress, in these tough economic times, you know, we musicians, sometimes we just have to do the best with what we have. And that can quite often mean going for the best deal. Whether that means buying used, whether that means buying from that anonymous, unknown retailer online who's offering the lowball price compared to everybody else. Sometimes that can all work out, and it's almost like it was meant to be. However, there are a lot of scammers in this world, and that number seems to be growing all the time. There are even manufacturers, some of them, you know, who are cutting corners in production costs and are using cheaper components, which could fail more than they used to in using better parts. So, you know, I guess the thought here is try to go for a retailer that you trust, that you know is going to have your back, even if it means paying a little bit more compared to the lowball price. You know, it's definitely going to save some money down the road and some headache along the way. I'd be really curious to know how much good customer service plays in your decision-making process when purchasing something. Is it a big deal or is it not a big deal? What are some things that factor in you know, helping you decide what you're going to purchase? Is it the lowest price? Is it the convenience of having something delivered to your door? You know, maybe something else. I would also love to hear any stories about receiving some service that kind of went above and beyond. It was so awesome. Perhaps from other companies that I haven't mentioned. You know, we can definitely give them some love. It would be wonderful to hear good stories about them as well. All right, that's all I've got for today. Thanks again for being here. Really, truly hope that you are doing well. Until the next video, light and love to you all. Take care now. Bye.